Hello students, in this video we are going to learn about the king activity in the rook endgame. In the rook endgame, apart from the rook, the only important piece is king. And you must make sure that your king is active in the rook endgame. Let's look at an example. In this position, we are white. And right now we are going to lose a pawn. Black is going to play rook cross c3 check. And there is no good way for white to defend it. But white can make sure that his king is active in return for this pawn. So white plays king g3. Black plays rook cross c3 check. He plays king h4. His idea is to push the pawn to g6 and then play king g5 so that his king becomes active. Black plays rook f3. Black is going to take the f4 pawn also, and there is nothing we can do to stop it. So we continue with our plan. g6. Black plays rook cross f4 check, and we play king g5. Now this king is very active. We have lost two pawns, but our king is active. Our king is active, we have a passed pawn, and our rook is also active. And opponent's king is trapped on the 8th rank. So this gives us enough compensation for the two pawn loss. And now here, if black takes another pawn, then we play king f6, and our threat is rook g8 checkmate. Black will play king g8 and you play rook d7. Our threat is rook d8 checkmate, and black cannot save himself from this checkmate. So in this position, instead of capturing the pawn, black decided to play rook e4. Bring the rook back. And now we play king f6. It is important not to capture this pawn because this pawn is shielding the king from the checks on the f file. Now the rook cannot give checks from the f file. Black plays king g8. First you play rook g7 check, king h8, and then you take the pawn. Now the threat is we are going to play g7 check, king g8, rook to c8. It will be a checkmate. After king h7, we play rook h8. It will lead to a checkmate. So black plays rook e8 and black defends the 8th rank. And now we take on f5. So finally, after all of this, we have 3 pawns and black also has 3 pawns. But our king is more active than the black's king. Our rook is more active than the black's rook. And we have a passed pawn. So because of all these positional factors, white is winning in this position. Here black decided to play rook e4, trying to counter attack by taking the pawn on d4 and trying to make a queen from the d5 pawn. We play king f6 check, again threatening rook c8 checkmate. Black gives a check and we play king e5. Black plays rook g4, black is attacking our pawn and we play g7 check. We give up this pawn. If black takes the pawn, then after exchanging the rooks, we take on d5. Our king is going to eat both of these pawns. King f7, king c6, king e7, king b7. King d6, king cross a7. King d5, king cross b6. And after king cross d4, you can simply push this pawn. And you are going to make a queen. So here, capturing the pawn will lead to a lost pawn endgame for black. That's why black plays king g8. And now you take on a7. Black plays rook g1 and you take on d5 also. Black plays rook c1. There's nothing black can do here. So white plays king d6. His idea is to push the pawn. Black simply waits. You push the pawn. Black simply waits. And now white plays rook c7. White wants to exchange the rooks. Black does not exchange it. You play king c6. He takes the pawn and you push the pawn. You have second passed pawn, so you try to make a queen out of it. After rook c4 check, you play king b7. You do not capture this pawn because this pawn is shielding you from the checks on the b file. Now the rook cannot go to b4 and give you a check. So he has to play rook d4. And now you push the pawn. In the next move, you are going to play rook to c8 check, and then make a queen, and it's game over for black. If black captures the pawn, then you make a queen and rook is giving a discovered check. So after king g6, you can take on d4. And now you can easily checkmate the black king. So white is winning here. Let's look at the next example. In this position, we are black. Rook is giving us a check and we have two choices. Either we can play king e5, sacrifice the c6 pawn, or we come back to d7 and defend the pawn passively. Right now we are already a pawn down. So most likely we are going to lose the game if we play passively. Remember, in the rook endgame, your king must be active. So instead of playing king d7 and defending the c6 pawn passively, you should play king e5. Keep your king active. Now white will obviously take the pawn. Now you are 2 pawns down. Plus, white is also threatening to take the third pawn. But our king is active and we make sure that we go forward. We play king e4. Black takes the pawn. White takes the pawn. We would like to play king f3 and then deliver rook a1 checkmate, but right now we cannot do it because if we play king f3, then rook will play rook cross f5 and it will be a check. So that's the problem. That's why here black played f4. White played e cross f3. And now you don't even capture the pawn here. You play king to f3. Look at your king. Your king is so active and opponent's king is completely passive. In the next move, you are going to play rook a1. It will be a checkmate. White cannot defend himself. White must play a move like pawn to h4 so that his king has an escaping square. Now you give a check. King h2. You again give a check. If opponent plays king h3, then it will be a g4 checkmate. So here he is forced to go back. And now you again give a check, king h2, rook check, king h2. It's a perpetual check. So the game is a draw. In the final position, you are down 4 pawns. 4 pawns, you are down 4 pawns. But your king is so active that even after losing 4 pawns, you are able to draw the game. That's why in the rook endgame, it is very important to activate your king and make sure that your king does not end up passive like the white's king. If you go back, in this position, black had a choice. If black wanted, he could have played king d7 and defended the pawn. But because of this passive position, black would not have survived the game. But because black knew that king activity is very important and black focused on the king activity, black got his king on f3 and black was able to draw the game with the help of perpetual check. That's it for this video. Now let's go to the next one.